A few miles down the River Thames lies a small island rich in history. Luckily for me, I have a friend Ted who lives on the island, and he has invited me over to have a swim in the waters around it. Now, before I can jump in, I need to give you the quick but fascinating history of Tagg's Island. Tagg's Island is located in the London borough of Richmond upon Thames, around a mile from Hampton Court Palace, home to the British royalty since the 16th century. Approximately 5 acres in size, it was originally named Walnut Tree Island, but became known as Tagg's Island after a lawyer purchased it in the 1850s and leased half the island to Thomas Tagg, who operated a boat building and hire business. The previous gypsy inhabitants were booted out, leaving behind a curse upon all business ventures to come to the island. More on that later. Nowadays, it's a private island, home to 62 houseboats, and this one, the River Dream, belongs to my mate Ted. Ted's boat might be one of the oldest boats on the island, with photos of it from the 1920s, but there's a family understanding that it stretches back to the 1890s. Ted had a bunch of old photos and information about the island's history. It appears that Tom Tagg was an enterprising man who capitalised on the growing number of visitors to the island by building a hotel and naming it the Thames Hotel. It soon became extremely popular, and by the turn of the century, Tagg's Island and the hotel was a place to be and a place to be seen. This was a time before the motor car or aeroplane. The island didn't even have a bridge, but it was so popular that royalty, nobility and celebrities of the day would arrive by boat or punt and adorn the lawns of the hotel and bask in the sounds of the gramophone and the magnificent splendour of the time. A famous new owner bought the island in 1912 for £70,000, and within 1 year tore down Tagg's original hotel and built a bigger, grander hotel named the Casino. Carno's Pleasure Palace promised to serve the highest calibre of society with a music hall, floodlit tennis courts and even an ice rink. With thousands of people arriving by water on the opening day alone, just imagine what could have been dropped in the river. Unfortunately, the halcyon days of Tagg's Island and the Casino were over a year later as World War I arrived on British shores. After the war, the world had changed. There was now cinema and radio for entertainment, proving too much for a music hall to compete with. Carno went bankrupt, fulfilling the gypsy curse. Over the next decade, the island changed hands and the hotel was renamed Palm Beach, then the Thames Riviera, and finally the Casino Hotel. The Thames Riviera lasted only 6 weeks before bankruptcy, and the Casino Hotel 6 months before folding. Come the Second World War, the island had a new owner who finally built a bridge to the island. He also built factories on the island for munitions manufacturing for the war effort. After the war, the island was used in 2 halves, half for the hotel and tourists and half for factory production of 3-wheeled cars and train carriages that were used on Southend Pier. Finally, in 1971, and after 13 bankrupt owners, the now defunct hotel was used in Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange before being demolished.
Fred Carno, he had a wonderful dream, and it was wonderful for a time. Then the 1914 war broke out, and that was the end of the dream.
In recent history, the island was purchased by a resident group and a lagoon was dug to accommodate more boats. Seeing photos of Edwardians gallivanting in the waters around the island really piqued my interest. It was time to get in the dark water and find out what treasure was hiding on the riverbed. The first dive down is always scary. How deep is it? What will be at the bottom? Thankfully, I found a flat, clean riverbed. There was a fine silt on the stones, but visibility was pretty good. My dive watch showed about 2.5 meters, which is about 8.5 foot in depth. With Ted following my float in his kayak, I swam down the river, dropping to the bottom as I went. Bricks and rods and various shapes were littered on the riverbed, all under a layer of silt. I quickly realised I would need a scuba tank rather than my lung power to uncover any real treasure, but hopefully luck would be on my side. Soon I found a large circular lawn table. Could it have been from the casino days? I kind of doubt it. It looks more like the one my mum had in her garden, but it was too heavy to salvage anyway. This bottle was kind of cool, but there was nothing on it to identify how old it was or what it was, but it looks like it was kind of champagne or something.
He normally just finds rubbish and then he bins it.
Oh, that's grim.
Ah!
That is grim. Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry, Holly. We're doing good for the rivers. Keep it tidy. I had a bit of a jump when I ducked under and saw what looked like a nose. Obviously it was a static object with no teeth, but I hadn't seen anything like this in a river before, so I took another deep breath and went to explore. It was some type of speedboat, upturned with a pointed bow and a V-shaped hull. I traced along it and took a peek underneath, but there was no way I could turn it over. I'm not even sure what it was doing here or what the story was, but thankfully there didn't appear to be any skeletons. Sorry, Holly.
So judging from old pictures where those white steps are and some more white steps over there, this used to be a beautiful green lawn with the casino hotel just there beyond those trees.
So this area, like Ted said, was pretty much the front lawn of the casino. So back in the Edwardian days, this would have been a heavily used area. So hopefully I will find something, but as you can see, I was really kicking up a lot of the silt from the bottom, and it was making the area really difficult to discover anything in.
Plates! Oh, that's amazing.
Bidder for 4?
Amazing. Them stacked.
Yeah, like they just been frisbeed in or something.
Weatherby Hanley, England Royal Falconware. Looks like, yeah, definitely looks like dinner parties were held around it.
So we are running a bit low on battery. We're running a bit low on battery, so we're gonna kayak round to the bridge, which is always a great site of human activity. So hopefully we'll find a bit more stuff around there. So far, the diving has been absolutely amazing. It's really good conditions down there. I mean, the viz could be better, but it could always be better. But knowing that there's so much history and things to find is just super exciting, and it's coming up. I just wish I could hold my breath for a lot longer, because there is so many things that I can see as I'm swimming along that I just can't either reach or get to, or they look too heavy to pull up. There is a lot of silt and sediment down there, which is kicking up as I keep hitting the same spot, so that's a bit unfortunate. But one of the best dives I have done so far, for sure. Heading round to the other side of the island, it did feel a bit different, even though it's the same water. Essentially, it had a kind of different vibe to it. As soon as I jumped in, it was actually deeper than I had expected. I got a squeeze in my head, which kind of told me that I was deeper than I had been the other side, and I looked at my dive watch and it read 3.5 meters. So it's about a meter deeper than around the other side. However, it was the same riverbed conditions, nice and flat, you could see quite a bit, although a lot of the shapes were kind of one colour, all hidden under the silt. I couldn't believe it, but I found the classic dirty dive item. It seems like you cannot go underwater without pulling out a pair of sunglasses.
The classic sunglasses from every dive.
Buy some glasses. How bored should we go?
Yeah.
It just feels like it's a matter of time before you just roll over something really interesting. Yeah, it's really good. I wasn't finding anything, but it didn't really matter because I was really enjoying the dive. The underwater landscape reveals itself foot by foot in the torch beam, and there's just something really adventurous about that. Never knowing what's just going to be ahead, and the horrible feeling that you're overlooking or not seeing something that's right in front of you. Nothing to find or nothing found at the moment. I think it's time to call it a day.
Yay, can we go home now?
We can go home now. Well, I had a great time swimming around Tagg's Island, and even though I didn't pull out much, you can see there's still so much more to be discovered. So with Ted's invitation, I'm definitely going to be back, and if you want to see that video, then make sure you're subscribed so you're going to get that when it comes out. Also, I think there's going to be tons more TreaderTube videos that you'll enjoy, so have a search on the channel. And I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.